So honestly, the house was purchased with majority, or however you want to look at it, pretty much all profit off of cards. So in the last year or two, I probably made around like $120,000 in profit. That's actual.
Hey guys, Troy here, back with another video today. Today is a really good one, a special one that I've been working on for a while now. We're having my good friend Tristan, who I've known since I was a kid, talking about his journey of how he started in sports cards and how he was able to actually take his sports card profits and use it to buy a house at a young age. Huge accomplishment. So I really hope you guys enjoy, and we'll just get right into it.
So my journey began, I'd say, 4 or 5 years ago. I had a close friend of mine that was collecting cards, and he basically was telling me a little bit about it here and there. And while he was telling me, I was kind of getting more and more interested. I thought it was cool that not only there was a lot of money in it, and I think that was obviously interesting to me, especially because I'm already interested in basketball in general. So long story short, one of my good friends, Darius, kid I grew up with in San Francisco, I gave him some money, and I basically told him what type of players I was interested in, and we kind of went from there. So I'd say 2015 or 2016 was my introduction, and I think the initial investment was maybe like $1,400 or something. Durant Exquisite, numbered out of 99, has a BGS 9 grade, which is pretty high for this year. But you know, it's a card I'll never be able to get again. I did buy on an eBay auction. I think it was around $18,000 or $19,000. All in all, I ended up paying around $20,000. Wow. And it's a lot of money, but at the time, I thought Durant was a good investment. I was talking to some other friends, and you know, I didn't think a card like this was going to come up again, right? Once we started doing like decently well, I think I made maybe around $1,500 or something like that. After like a year, I was like, "Hey, Darius, I really appreciate it. Here's your cut." I gave him some money and kind of asked him to show me the ropes on how I could do it myself. So fast forward like a year, I probably had invested maybe like $15,000 to $20,000, and the market as a whole was pretty stagnant. A lot of times the market hits like kind of a high point, especially for players that aren't going to be in the playoffs. So like, for example, Brandon Ingram 2 years ago before the Lakers season was pretty hyped up. His cards were a lot of money and didn't sustain during the season. So the long story short, I was maybe around $15,000 or $20,000, and it was pretty much my collection was hanging around there in terms of value. And I wasn't really moving cards too quickly.
How long ago did you get this? What's the story behind getting this?
I got this similar to the Durant. It was just an auction on eBay. I think it ended for like $4,600. I had to pay tax on it, and it ended up being like $5,300 total invested. His rookie year, it's Prism, but it's autographed. So I think there's only 7 or maybe there's 8 of these that actually have the card graded a 10 and the autograph graded a 10. And I did have some money, and I told myself I was buying Luka. I didn't care if he was expensive, I was just going to buy him. Yeah. Since then, his cards have gone crazy. At a certain point, I kind of decided to sell a bunch of the cards. So I got maybe around $15,000 or $20,000, sold off a lot of the collection, and told myself, okay, I'm starting from scratch. This is kind of my initial investment. What players do I think are going to do well? Where are like the buying opportunities? So this is way back. I bought like a Karl Towns National Treasure card. I bought a LeBron rookie refractor, so it's 2003 rookie refractor PSA 10. Bought that for like $6,500. Sold it like a month later for like $8,000 or something like that. Made $1,500. I thought it was awesome. I was thinking this is like the new way of doing cards. That card actually now is probably in like the $55,000 to $60,000 range.
So I don't see that one here.
Long story. I mean, that's probably one of my bigger regrets, but it opened the door for like the quick return. I mean, you go anywhere and you say, hey, I could turn your $6,500 investment to $8,000 in a matter of a month or two. Anyone would take that.
You mentioned with the money you started off with, a substantial amount of money, but still only $1,000. You know what I mean? $1,000. That's not from your parents or anything crazy like that, just, side hustles. We did Postmates together, so a lot
I'll never forget for one weekend I worked 40 hours, Postmates, it was fun. I mean, it's the same thing. But
so that's what really impresses me, first of all. you pretty much got into cards with no type of advantage. You weren't like, your dad's not a shop owner, your parents didn't say, here's 10K to go play around with. You just got Postmates, grinded, and worked up enough money to start.
The next card I'll talk about is this LeBron SP Authentic card. On-card autograph, which is pretty cool. His rookie year, 2003. I think, you know, this is kind of similar to the Durant. I won't ever be able to get this card again. Or if I do, I'd have to shell out a lot of money. Now, I just ran out of a little spreadsheet where I have all what I bought it for, and then I kind of estimate the value every month or so. But I'd say it's around $182,000 or something like that.
Wow.
It was a little more, it was in like the 200 and something $1,000 range. I actually just had to liquidate a lot. I got into a property, but...
What was your thinking in rolling over some of your sports card profits into buying real estate?
So honestly, the house was purchased with majority, or however you want to look at it, pretty much all profit off of cards. So in the last year or two, I probably made around like $120,000 of profit. That's actually like actualized profits. Like that's from sales. It got, as my collection grew and grew, I put more and more money into it. People kind of looked at me like I was crazy, right? It's like you're buying basketball cards. It's a piece of cardboard. I don't really care about any of that noise. I just did want to take some of my money and put it in a more substantial, or different,
traditionally more stable.
Yeah, like more like a more traditional investment. For me, that honestly, that was a pretty big accomplishment. I mean, cards has always been fun, and the money was kind of fun until it became more real the last year or two. So that's kind of the story behind that.
You talk about rolling into more of a traditional investment. Does that have anything to do with your view of the market, or?
The sports card in general, I mean, obviously we know it's grown a lot, right? You have like mainstream media outlets. LeBron posts his rookie card with the eye emoji, got people talking. Gary Vee is posting about it constantly. So the market as a whole has grown a ton in the last 12 months, let's say. There's like base Prism cards. So basically like a Kawhi Leonard base Prism card could be had for like $350 a year ago. Now that card is $2,000, and in the playoffs it was closer to $6,000, I think. So $350 grows to $6,000, back down to $2,000. Maybe that's more of like the happy medium for it. But so I think going forward, I do believe in the market though, and I'm still buying. Like I just bought card. Even now, when it's like it's pretty close to. My finances are obviously gotten tighter, but I still am spending the majority of my money on cards when I can. This Mahomes card, I mentioned it, but it's a rookie year. It's a silver, and it's PSA 10. So it's similar to the Luka. I feel like it's a blue chip investment.
And where were you at with this card after the Super Bowl? Because I know surprisingly you talked about there was a dip in these.
So this after he won his Super Bowl. And these dropped to like $1,000 or something, or $950. They were at like $1,500. They dropped down. I was like, I told myself I'd buy it in the off season, so I've got a couple of these. I bought like 3 of them. I've moved 2 of them. I still have one, or still have 1 or 2, and then a silver at 9.5. But these are expensive, but I think Mahomes has a chance to be that guy. So a lot of times the future's already baked into the price, but I'm probably gonna hold on to this guy as long as I can too. That's kind of like the overall message if you were to give it to someone else who's starting out. I feel like it's cliche to say that, but it is. Do your own research and invest money you're comfortable with investing with. And even to this day, I'm like, okay, if I break even, or if I lose a little bit of money, I'm not going to be miserable. But do your research, because like there are cards now that are double what they were a month ago, and the players haven't played one game, right? Or they played one preseason game. So I would say, be wary and basically understand there are better times to buy it and there's worse times to buy. And I feel like a lot of times, if you can buck the trend a little bit and see something a little earlier than other people, that's where the money is, I would say.
What other advice would you have for people if someone came up to you and was like, hey, I want to get into sports cards, I want to achieve something like you've achieved, what would you tell them?
Well, I'm always hesitant to promise any type of large return. It's like the first thing. And that's just kind of like my biggest fear would be telling someone, hey, this is a good investment, surefire, you're going to make your money. I think that's not the way to go in any industry, right? And people do, like I'd say in the last like couple months, there's people that are random, like hit me up that I haven't talked to in a couple of years. I'm like, hey Tristan, I think it's awesome, blah, blah, blah. You got into cards, I'm interested, I have some money, like what do you think? So what I would say is generally I'll let someone come up with names themselves. Like for example, people say, oh, I want to buy a Luka Prism PSA 10. I'm like, you can do that because I think Luka is the guy. I mean, he's 21 years old. It's crazy. But just know that card you're getting for $1,800 was $1,200 2 months ago, right?
Yeah. You talk about them coming up with the names themselves, not only just from a personal responsibility part, but I think the biggest thing that I've learned is even from like a financial business aspect. Because if I tell someone invest in, well, we'll just use your example, let's say Kawhi, but they just don't like Kawhi, they don't believe in the Clippers for whatever reason, it's going to be hard for them to hold on to that investment if it dips. So I was even talking to our friend Darius, who you mentioned yesterday. He's like, you should get into football. And I was saying, I can invest in Russell Wilson, but if Russell Wilson goes through a tough stretch, I won't understand, like, okay, his left tackle is out. So I almost, like, if someone asks me, it's like you kind of have to follow sports or have some understanding, or you're just not going to be able to hold it, because then you're just blindly holding a Russell Wilson or a Luka, not knowing what's going to happen. That's really tough to do.
I think that's a really good point, and like I would kind of relate that to like where I was with stocks like 3 or 4 years ago. I would go on Robinhood, I'd look up some articles, minimal research, buy stocks, look at it every day. If it dipped a little bit or I got emotional or tired of having my money tied up, I'd sell it. I'd sell at a loss. So I'd compare it to that in the sense that like anytime you're not informed, it's easy to lose money, right? Like this goes for anything. So I wouldn't tell someone, hey, go invest, you have $10,000 free? Good. This is where you should put your money in. I would say, this is where I think the market's going. These are the players I believe in, but do your own research.
Now this is a card that I'm really jealous of, and I dream, especially in this grade, to get it in my collection one day. What's the thought process like with this one?
So this is the first soccer card I ever got, and like similar to basketball cards, I just think the blue chip guys generally will always rise in value. I love Messi. Like we grew up playing FIFA, and Messi always is going to be the best or second best player. Also, I just think he's a really stand-up guy. And this is kind of a weird time with Barcelona. I know I've actually tuned into games. I never used to watch him play, but
that's the fun thing about
this
cards.
card has literally got me streaming Barcelona games, and I root for him. I would say find your own angle, and I'd say like similar to you got an introduction to that. I did the same thing. Like I bought for the Mahomes silver prism. I remember buying this card, and my buddy Darius. I'm not trying to put him on blast. Darius is a card king, right? The guy is everything he touches turns to gold. But he was kind of hesitant, and so they made a lot that year. They didn't actually make any base. I don't know if that's a good buy. It's expensive. Granted, like this card has gone crazy. So I think you need to I think when people find their own lane, it's not only empowering, which it is, right? It's kind of like fun to say, hey, I made money on it, and I believed in my like intuition, right? I think too often people will rush to mimic other, basically, oh, I see this guy's going crazy, like, what are the auctions that are ending right now? I need to buy it. And I think oftentimes, if you have even 12 months of context, so basically if you like a card, I'd say, okay, watch it, look on eBay, look on all the sales for the next 12 months, and then come back in 12 months and tell me how it's done. Or even a couple months. Basically, just get a better understanding before you put all your money. That's what I would say.
All right, Tristan, that was great. Thanks so much for sharing it. It was great for you to be here. I hope people enjoy. I think your story is really inspirational and great. And we'll see. We might have some things brewing in the future. We might be able to get you on the content creation side.
Might have to. Troy, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate that.
All right, guys, that's it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate it. And we're going to keep the videos coming. Thanks again.